The phone rang, slicing through the silence of my modest living room. I, Emily Townend, a 38-year-old working mother, never expected that call to shatter the life I knew. "Emily, I'm leaving you." Michael's voice, once so familiar and comforting, was now cold, detached. My heart sank. "I found someone else. Oh, and there's about $250,000 of debt in your name. Handle it, will you?" "Michael, what are you talking about?" I stammered, my voice barely a whisper. But he was relentless. "You heard me. I'm with CLA now. She understands me, unlike you. Goodbye, Emily." And with that, he hung up. I stood there, phone still in hand, feeling as if the ground had been yanked from under me. Tears welled up in my eyes, not just for the betrayal, but for the sheer impossibility of the debt he'd saddled me with. "Mom, are you okay?" Anna, my 10-year-old daughter, walked in, her small face etched with concern. I forced a smile, masking my turmoil. "Yes, sweetheart, I'm fine," I replied, but Anna wasn't fooled. She hugged me, a gesture offering more comfort than she knew. After Anna went to bed, I sat alone, the weight of my new reality suffocating me. How could Michael do this to us? We had a life, a family, and now I was alone, buried under a mountain of debt I had no knowledge of. I logged into our online banking, hoping Michael's call was just a terrible mistake. My heart sank further as I saw the near-empty account. Michael had drained everything, leaving only a trail of unpaid bills and maxed-out credit cards. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I spent hours staring at the ceiling, grappling with the betrayal. Michael, the man I had loved and trusted, had turned my life into a nightmare, and the worst part, I had no idea how to wake up from it. Before the turmoil, there was a time when laughter filled our home. I met Michael at a charity event. He was charming, his smile infectious. I remember thinking how lucky I was when he asked me out. Those initial dates blossomed into a whirlwind romance. We were young in love, and the world seemed full of possibilities. Our wedding was a modest affair, but it was perfect, surrounded by close friends and family. I felt like the happiest woman in the world when Anna was born 2 years later. Our joy multiplied. She was our little miracle, a perfect blend of Michael and me. Those early years were filled with simple pleasures, picnics in the park, movie nights cuddled on the couch, and Anna's laughter echoing through our home. I often found myself marveling at our little family, feeling a sense of contentment I never thought possible. But as Anna grew, so did the distance between Michael and me. It started subtly: missed dinners, late nights at the office, weekends consumed by urgent work calls. I tried to bridge the gap, arranging date nights and family outings, but Michael always had an excuse. Then came the job losses. Michael's excuses grew thin as he hopped from one job to another. With each new position, his demeanor darkened. The loving man I married was slowly replaced by a stranger, one who snapped at the slightest provocation and withdrew into himself. I remember one evening trying to discuss his job situation. His response still echoes in my mind. "What do you know about pressure, Emily? You just sit at home taking care of Anna. You don't understand what it's like in the real world." His words stung. I had given up my career to support his, to be there for Anna. Didn't that count for something? As Michael's behavior became increasingly erratic, I returned to the workforce. It wasn't just for financial stability, it was to fill the growing void in my heart. I missed the connection we once had, the sense that we were a team. Looking back, those signs were there, warning me of the storm that was about to hit. I just chose to ignore them, clinging to the memory of the man I fell in love with, hoping he would return. The unraveling of our life began with whispers of doubt and ended in a cacophony of betrayal. As Michael's job instability grew, so did the tension in our home. His once sporadic late nights became the norm. Each time he stumbled in, reeking of alcohol, a part of my heart crumbled. One evening, as I was putting Anna to bed, she asked, "Mommy, why is Daddy always mad?" Her innocent question pierced me. "Daddy's just tired from work, sweetie," I answered, though I knew the truth was far more complicated. The final straw came when I discovered a series of receipts for expensive jewelry and hotel stays. Confronting Michael led to a ferocious argument, the first of many. "You're suffocating me, Emily," he yelled. "I need some space, some freedom." "Freedom? Is that what you call spending our savings on whatever this is?" I countered, holding up the receipts. He snatched them from my hand, his eyes blazing. "You wouldn't understand. You're just a housewife. What do you know about living a life?" I stood there stunned as he stormed out, slamming the door behind him. His words, so callous and dismissive, echoed in my mind. Was this really the man I married? Determined to protect Anna and myself, I made the decision to return to work. My old job at the marketing firm welcomed me back, and I threw myself into it. The work was a welcome distraction from the chaos at home. Yet, as I worked late into the night, a gnawing feeling of guilt consumed me. I was missing precious moments with Anna, all because of Michael's selfishness. It wasn't fair. She didn't deserve this. The nights grew lonelier. Michael's presence in the house became like a ghost, but not really. His indifference toward Anna, his once cherished daughter, hurt the most. He was slipping away from us, and I felt powerless to stop it. It was during these dark times that I found solace in my friendship with Rachel. She became my confidant, my rock. "You're stronger than you know, Emily," she would often tell me. I wanted to believe her, but the shadows of doubt were overwhelming. As I lay in bed each night, listening to the silence of the house, I couldn't help but wonder where it all went wrong. When did the love and laughter turn into resentment and distance? The answers eluded me, much like the remnants of the happy life we once shared. Life as I knew it had become a juggling act, balancing work, motherhood, and a crumbling marriage. It left me perpetually exhausted, each day a struggle to maintain a semblance of normalcy for Anna, who remained my beacon of hope. One evening, after a particularly grueling day at work, I found Anna sitting at the kitchen table, her homework spread out in front of her. "Mom, can you help me with this?" she asked, pointing to a math problem. I sat down, the fatigue of the day weighing heavily on me. "Of course, honey," I replied, but my mind was elsewhere, tangled in a web of bills, work deadlines, and the latest argument with Michael. As we worked through the problem, my phone buzzed. It was Rachel. "Emily, are you okay? You sounded off at work today," she said. I sighed, pinching the bridge of my nose. "I'm just tired, Rachel. Tired of everything," I confessed. Anna looked up at me, her eyes filled with concern. "Mom, you're working too hard. Can't Daddy help?" Her question was like a dagger to my heart. How could I explain to her that her father, the man who should have been our pillar, had become our greatest burden? Michael's presence in the house had become almost non-existent. When he was home, his disdain was palpable. Our interactions were limited to brief, bitter exchanges, often culminating in him storming out to spend the night, God knows where. The climax of our deteriorating relationship came one rainy night. Michael arrived home late, his clothes drenched, his eyes wild. "I lost my job," he blurted out, a mix of anger and desperation in his voice. I stood there stunned. What happened? "They're a bunch of idiots. They don't appreciate me," he spat, his voice laced with venom. I tried to reason with him, to discuss our next steps, but he was beyond reach. "You wouldn't understand, Emily. You live in this little bubble, thinking everything is fine." "Well, it's not," he declared. His words hung in the air, a testament to the vast chasm that had grown between us. I realized then that the man I married, the The man I loved was gone. In his place stood a stranger, fueled by bitterness and regret. The following weeks were a blur. I worked tirelessly, my thoughts consumed by financial worries and the well-being of Anna. The strain took its toll, and my health began to falter. But I couldn't stop. Too much depended on me. Then, one fateful day at work, the world spun, and darkness engulfed me. I woke up in a hospital bed, Rachel and Anna by my side. The doctor's words were a wake-up call. "You need to slow down, Emily. Your body can't handle this stress." But how could I slow down? How could I when our world was falling apart? Lying in the sterile hospital bed, a myriad of tubes and monitors attached to me, I couldn't help but feel defeated. The doctor's diagnosis was clear: stress-induced exhaustion, compounded by the early stages of an ulcer. But the real shock came when they found a small malignant lump in my breast. "Mom, you're going to be okay, right?" Anna's voice trembled with fear. I squeezed her hand, mustering a smile. "Of course, honey. Mommy's a fighter, remember." Rachel, ever the supportive friend, was there too, her face etched with worry. "Emily, you need to take care of yourself. You can't keep going like this," she insisted. I knew she was right, but the thought of slowing down, of letting Michael's irresponsibility win, was unbearable. Yet the reality of my health situation was a wake-up call. I had to be there for Anna. As I lay in the hospital, processing my diagnosis, my phone rang. It was Michael. His voice was as cold and distant as ever. "I heard you're in the hospital." "Bad timing, Emily. I need you to deal with some things." His callousness took my breath away. "Michael, I have cancer," I said, the words heavy on my tongue. There was a pause, and for a moment I thought I heard a hint of concern in his voice. But then he said, "Well, that's your problem. I have my own issues to deal with." I ended the call, a mix of anger and disbelief churning inside me. How could the man I once loved be so heartless? The next few days were a whirlwind of tests and consultations. Amidst it all, Rachel and Anna were my pillars, their love and support unwavering. As I lay there recovering, I knew one thing for sure. Michael had underestimated me. He thought he could break me, leave me to pick up the pieces of his mess. But he was wrong. I was going to fight back, not just for me, but for Anna. And I would start by making Michael accountable for every single betrayal. The day I left the hospital marked the beginning of a new chapter. I was weak physically and emotionally, but my resolve was stronger than ever. Armed with the evidence of Michael's financial treachery, Rachel and I devised a plan to confront him and bring his deceit to light. Rachel had been doing some digging of her own. "Emily, you won't believe this. Michael's working at a tech startup now, and guess what? It's in the same building as my office." This was our chance. We decided to confront him there, in a public place where he couldn't avoid us. I wanted to see the look on his face when he realized he couldn't escape the consequences of his actions. The next day, with Anna safely at a friend's house, Rachel and I headed to Michael's workplace. My heart pounded as we entered the building. We found him in the lobby, chatting and laughing with a younger woman. The sight of him so carefree ignited a fire in me. "Michael," I called out, my voice steady despite the turmoil inside. He turned, his smile faltering as he saw me. The woman beside him, presumably CLA, looked on puzzled. "What are you doing here, Emily?" Michael's voice was a mix of annoyance and surprise. I stepped forward, Rachel by my side. "We need to talk," I said firmly. "Talk about the debts, the mortgage, and everything you've stolen from Anna and me." Michael glanced around nervously, aware of the curious eyes on us. "Not here, Emily. This isn't the place." "No, Michael, you don't get to decide that anymore," I said firmly. "You've left me with a mountain of debt, and I have cancer because of the stress you've caused. It's time you faced up to what you've done." CLA's eyes widened in shock. Cancer. Michael, what is she talking about? Michael's facade crumbled. He tried to usher Claire away, but she resisted. No, I want to know what's going on. What debt? I looked Claire in the eyes. He's been using my name to take out loans, max out credit cards, and even drain our daughter's college fund. CLA turned to Michael, betrayal etched on her face. Is that true, Michael? He had no words, just stood there, trapped in the web of his own lies. It was a small victory, but seeing him exposed for who he truly was in front of CLA and his colleagues gave me a sense of justice. As Rachel and I left the building, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. The road ahead was still daunting, but for the first time in a long time, I felt like I had the upper hand. Michael would no longer control our lives. It was time for him to pay for his actions, and I was just getting started. After the confrontation, our next step was legal action. Rachel, ever the resourceful one, connected me with a sharp, no-nonsense lawyer, Diane. She was a force to be reckoned with and exactly what I needed. Diane pored over the documents I had gathered. We have a strong case, she assured me. Not only can we sue for the debts he incurred in your name, but we can also go after him for fraud and emotional distress. The idea of taking Michael to court was daunting, but it was necessary. He had to be held accountable. Meanwhile, Rachel kept an eye on Michael's movements. He's unraveling, Emily. CLA left him, and it looks like his job is on the line too, she reported. Good. I thought he was finally feeling the weight of his actions. The day of the court hearing arrived. Michael was there, looking deflated, a far cry from the confident man he once was. As the proceedings began, it became clear that the evidence against him was overwhelming. Michael's lawyer tried to paint him as a man who had simply made some financial missteps, but Diane tore through their arguments. She presented the evidence of his fraudulent activities, his draining of Anna's college fund, and the impact of his actions on my health. The judge was sympathetic to our case. Mr. Townend, your actions have caused significant harm to your family. It's clear you acted with deceit and selfishness. The courtroom was silent as the judge delivered the verdict. Michael was found liable for the debts and ordered to pay restitution. Additionally, he would face criminal charges for his fraudulent activities. As we left the courtroom, Michael tried to approach me. Emily, I'm sorry. I looked at him, feeling a sense of closure. Your apologies mean nothing now, Michael. You're going to face the consequences of what you've done. Walking out of that courtroom, I felt a sense of empowerment. It wasn't just about the legal victory, it was about standing up to the man who had tried to break me. I had fought back and won. The battle was over, but the war was not. There were still challenges ahead. My health, rebuilding my life, ensuring Anna's future. But I faced them with a newfound strength. Michael Townsend would no longer cast a shadow over our lives. It was time for Anna and me to step into the light. The aftermath of the trial marked the beginning of a new life for Anna and me. The victory in court was more than just a legal triumph. It was a reclaiming of our dignity and strength. Yet the true battle lay in rebuilding our lives from the ruins Michael had left behind. I returned to work with a renewed focus, determined to provide a stable and loving home for Anna. She was flourishing in school, her resilience a constant source of pride for me. We had weathered the storm together, and our bond had only grown stronger. Rachel was a regular visitor, always bringing warmth and laughter into our home. You know, Emily, you're an inspiration, she said to me one evening as we sat in my living room, a sense of peace finally settling around us. I smiled, looking over at Anna, who was engrossed in a book. I had a good teacher, I replied, my eyes meeting Rachel's. We had been through so much, but our friendship had been a guiding light through the darkest times. As for Michael, his downfall was swift. The loss of his job and reputation, coupled with the legal repercussions, had taken their toll. He tried to reach out a few times, perhaps seeking forgiveness or pity, but I had closed that chapter of my life. I was no longer the woman he had left in shambles. I was stronger, wiser, and free from his toxic presence. The journey wasn't easy. There were moments of doubt and fear. But each step forward was a testament to our resilience. Anna and I had not just survived, we had thrived. One evening as I tucked Anna into bed, she looked up at me with those big, bright eyes. "Mom, we're going to be okay, right?" I nodded, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "Yes, sweetheart, we're going to be more than okay. We have each other, and that's all we need." As I turned off the light and left her room, I felt a sense of contentment. Our future was uncertain, but it was ours to shape. The scars of the past would always be there, but they no longer defined us. In the quiet of the night, I sat by the window, gazing at the stars. Life had thrown us into turmoil, but we had emerged stronger. We had faced our challenges head-on and reclaimed our lives. This was our new dawn, a time of healing and hope. And as I looked up at the night sky, I knew that no matter what lay ahead, Anna and I would face it together, with courage, love, and an unbreakable spirit.
I stood in the doorway of what used to be my bedroom, still wearing my hospital bracelet. The room looked completely different. The walls I had painted green were now covered in bright pink wallpaper. My photos were gone, replaced with pictures of my sister-in-law, Amanda. Even my bed, my expensive memory foam mattress, was buried under shiny pillows and unicorn toys. "This is her room now," my mother-in-law Margaret said with a smirk. She stood behind Amanda, resting her hands on her shoulders like she had won something. We thought it was time for some changes. I stood still, careful not to hurt my stomach, which was still healing from surgery. I had just spent a week in a hospital after an emergency operation. Coming home to this was a shock, but maybe I should have expected it. "Interesting timing," I said calmly, though my mind was racing. This wasn't just about a room. Margaret had been trying to push me out of this house for years. Amanda spun around in my grandmother's old vanity chair. "Mom thought this would be perfect for me while I look for a job in the city," she said sweetly. "It's so much better than that tiny guest room." I saw Margaret watching my reaction in the mirror. She had never liked me. In her eyes, I wasn't good enough for her son, Michael. I didn't come from a wealthy family, and no matter how hard I worked, she never respected me. "And where are my things?" I asked, already guessing the answer. "Oh, we put them in the basement," Margaret said. "Most of it was old anyway. Amanda needs space." I nodded, trying to stay calm. "And Michael? What does he think about this?" Amanda hesitated, but Margaret spoke quickly. "Michael understands that family helps each other. Amanda is going through a tough time." Right? By tough time, she meant Amanda had cheated on her fiancé and got kicked out of her apartment. But Margaret always defended her daughter. I stepped further into the room, feeling the stitches in my stomach pulse slightly. "Well, this is unexpected," I said. "But timing is everything." Margaret's eyes narrowed. "What do you mean?" I smiled, but not kindly. "Nothing. Just something to think about." I turned to leave, then stopped. "Oh, Amanda, be careful with that vanity. The left drawer sticks sometimes." As I walked downstairs, I heard them whispering behind me. They thought they had won, that I would give up. But they had no idea what was coming. I sat down in my home office, the one room they hadn't touched. My laptop was right where I had left it. Good. This room held all the important documents, and I had been preparing for something like this for months. I opened my email. 3 days, that's all I needed. I had set this plan in motion long ago, after Margaret's last attempt to control my life. My phone buzzed. It was a message from Michael. "Just heard from Mom. Hope you're okay with the room situation. Amanda really needs our support right now." I stared at the message, feeling a mix of disappointment and determination. Michael always tried to please everyone. But this time, he had made the wrong choice. "It's fine," I texted back. "Everything is exactly where it needs to be." I pulled out a folder from my safe, running my fingers over the important papers inside. The house deed. insurance documents, and the one paper that would change everything. 3 days, I whispered to myself. Just 3 days. Upstairs, Amanda laughed loudly as she rearranged more furniture. Let them enjoy this moment. In 3 days, they would realize they had made a huge mistake. The next morning, I woke up on a couch in the living room. Loud music blasted from upstairs. Amanda's music. My stomach hurt as I sat up. A painful reminder that I was supposed to be resting. Instead, I was stuck here while Amanda took over my bedroom. Margaret walked in, dressed in her fancy clothes. Oh good, you're awake. Amanda needs to use the shower, so you'll have to wait. I checked my phone. 7:15 a.m. 2 days and 16 hours left. Actually, I said, standing up slowly, I have an appointment this morning. Margaret frowned. An appointment? Shouldn't you be resting? It's just a quick meeting with my lawyer, nothing too tiring. I kept my voice light. Margaret's face changed for a second. Was that fear? But she quickly covered it up. Lawyer? What lawyer? Oh, just updating some documents after my hospital stay. Normal stuff. I grabbed my things, enjoying the way she shifted uncomfortably. As I walked toward the door, Margaret called after me. Does Michael know about this? I turned back and smiled. He will. At the law office, my friend Patricia Chen was waiting. She had known me since college, and she had seen enough of Margaret's behavior to understand the situation. Everything's ready, Patricia said, sliding a folder across the desk. Are you sure? Once we file these, there's no going back. I looked through the papers. They took over my bedroom while I was in the hospital, Patty. If I don't stop them now, they won't stop until I'm completely pushed out. And Michael? Still refusing to stand up to them. I sighed. He thinks if he ignores the problem, it'll go away. But this time he's wrong. Patricia nodded. All right, I'll file these today. They'll get the notification in about 48 hours. Perfect. When I got home, Amanda was on my couch, surrounded by expensive shopping bags. She didn't even look up from her phone. Mom said you went to see a lawyer, she said, pretending not to care but clearly curious. Just routine paperwork, I said, heading to my office. I had to check if phase 2 was ready. You know, Amanda called after me. Mom thinks you're planning something, but it won't work. This is our house now. I stop at my office door. Our house. Yeah, she said smugly. Mom says Michael is the only one with a real career, so technically everything belongs to him. And we're his real family. I thought about the documents Patricia was filing, the plan I had set in motion months ago. Interesting, I said before closing the door behind me. That evening, Michael finally came home. He found me in my office, working on my laptop. Hey, he said, hesitating. Mom said you went to see a lawyer? I looked up at him, really looked at him. My husband of 5 years. The man who never stood up to his mother. The man who let his sister take over our bedroom. Yes, I did. He ran a hand through his hair, looking nervous. Look, I know the bedroom situation isn't great, but it's only temporary. Amanda's going through a rough time. I cut him off. When I was in the hospital, did you know what they were planning? His silence told me everything. Right, I said, turning back to my laptop. You should know things are going to change soon. What does that mean? He asked, his voice uneasy. In 36 hours, your mother and sister are going to learn some interesting things about property ownership and legal rights. He tried to laugh. Come on, you're overreacting. Mom's just helping Amanda get back on her feet. I shut my laptop and stood up, feeling the stitches pull slightly. No, Michael. Your mother is trying to push me out, and you're letting her. But what none of you know is that I've been keeping records. Every time they move my things, every manipulative comment, every attempt to take over. And in 36 hours, all of it is going to matter. His face paled. What are you saying? I'm saying maybe you should tell them to start packing, because when those papers arrive, everything will change. You're bluffing, he said, but his voice shook. I opened my desk drawer and pulled out a thick envelope. Remember last year when your mom tried to sell my grandmother's antiques while we were on vacation? That's when I started preparing. This has everything: photos, videos, legal documents. In 36 hours, it all becomes public record. Michael looked at the envelope, then at me. For the first time, he looked truly afraid. What have you done? He whispered. I sat back down, calm and in control. I protected myself, since you wouldn't. The letter arrived exactly when Patricia said it would. I was in my office when I heard Margaret's loud, angry voice. "What is this? What have you done?" I walked into the living room. Margaret stood there, shaking, holding the papers. Amanda was nearby, looking pale. Michael sat on the couch, his head in his hands. "Oh, good," I said calmly. "You got the notice." Margaret's hands trembled. This says that I own this house?" I finished for her. "Yes, it does." Amanda gasped. "That's impossible. This is Michael's house." I shook my head. "No, it's not. Last year, when Margaret tried to sell my grandmother's antiques, I realized I needed to protect myself. So I bought Michael's share of the house. He signed the papers himself." Michael lifted his head, his face pale. "The refinancing documents, the ones you said were just updating our mortgage." "Exactly," I said. "You signed over your part of the house to me. It's all legal. Even your mother signed as a witness." Margaret's face turned white. "I never signed." "Check page 3, I said. "See? Right under witness. Remember when you rushed to sign those HOA papers I brought home? You should have read them more carefully." They all went silent. It finally hit them. I had outsmarted them. I crossed my arms. "The second set of papers lists every time you damaged my property, including taking over my bedroom." "You can't kick us out," Amanda yelled. "We're family." "Actually, I can, and I am." I looked at my watch. "You have 24 hours to leave. Anything left behind will be thrown out." Margaret turned to Michael. "Are you just going to let her do this to us?" Michael sat still, finally understanding everything. "You planned this," he said softly. "No," I corrected him. "I prepared." "That's different. I hoped I wouldn't have to do this, but when your mother and sister took over our bedroom while I was in the hospital, they crossed the line." Margaret scoffed. "We were trying to help." "No, you were trying to push me out. You've been trying since the day I married Michael." "But I'm not someone you can bully away. I worked hard for this house, and I protected myself." I took out my phone. "The police are on speed dial. You can leave now, or they can remove you in 24 hours. Your choice." Amanda burst into tears and ran upstairs. Margaret stood frozen, still gripping the papers. "This isn't over," she hissed. "It is," I said. "And if you ever step onto my property again without permission, I'll press charges. I have years of proof." After they left, Michael and I sat in silence. "I'll pack my things too," he finally said. "Probably best," I replied. "The divorce papers are in that pile. Patricia will contact your lawyer." He looked at me, half admiring, half regretful. "You really planned for everything." "I had to," I said. "You weren't going to protect me, so I protected myself." That night, I lay in my own bed, finally at peace. The awful pink wallpaper was already peeling, revealing my sage green paint underneath. Tomorrow, I'd start fixing everything. My phone buzzed. A text from Patricia. "Papers filed. You're officially free." I smiled. Margaret and Amanda had thought they could take everything from me, but their biggest mistake, underestimating me. The next morning, sunlight filled my room. The house was quiet. I opened a stuck drawer on my vanity, the one they had complained about. Inside were the property documents that had sealed their fate. The best revenge isn't getting even. It's being smart, protecting yourself, and knowing when to walk away. As I pulled down the ugly wallpaper, I smiled. They had celebrated too soon, but I would celebrate the right way, by rebuilding my life exactly how I wanted. "Get out. This is my son's house," Patricia yelled, throwing my clothes down the stairs. Her face was red with anger. "I've put up with you for 5 years, but enough is enough. Pack your things and leave." I stood at the bottom of the stairs, calm as I watched my mother-in-law's tantrum. My soft cashmere sweater, Michael's Christmas gift, landed at my feet, followed by my favorite jeans. "This is my house too," I said quietly, picking up my clothes. "Michael and I bought it together." Patricia laughed, sharp and cruel. "Oh, sweetie, is that what you think? Michael bought this house before he met you. You're just here because he lets you stay." I knew that wasn't true. I had all the paperwork to prove it, but I didn't argue. Instead, I carefully folded my clothes and placed them in my bag. "My name is Emma Davis. I'm 32 years old, and today my mother-in-law was kicking me out of my own home while my husband was away on a medical mission in Guatemala. Michael, a skilled surgeon, had left 2 weeks ago. Patricia had moved in, claiming she wanted to help while he was gone. From the start, I had a bad feeling about it. Patricia never liked me. She thought Michael deserved someone better than a high school art teacher, but this throwing me out was a new low. I already called Michael, Patricia said smugly, walking down the stairs. He agrees you should leave. He wanted to tell you for months, but he's too nice. I stopped packing and looked at her. Patricia was a skilled liar. She loved to manipulate people. But something was off this time. Her hands were shaking slightly, her eyes nervous. Really? I asked. That's funny because the satellite phone at Michael's camp has been down for 3 days. I got an email about it this morning. For a split second, Patricia froze. Then she quickly recovered. He called before that, obviously. I've been planning this for a while. I didn't believe her. Something had scared her. Then I remembered, yesterday, I had been organizing Michael's office. This is about the papers you were looking for, isn't it? Patricia's face went pale. I don't know what you're talking about. I was just tidying up. Right? I said, zipping my bag. That's why you searched every drawer and folder. Because you were tidying. A few months ago, I had installed a small security camera in Michael's office. Every time Patricia visited, things seemed out of place. Michael thought I was being paranoid, but I wanted proof. You had no right to spy on me, she shouted. This is exactly why you need to leave. You're paranoid and unstable. Michael will be better off without you. I slung my bag over my shoulder and grabbed my laptop and a small box of watercolors. Michael's gift from Florence. I'll be back for the rest of my things later. Don't bother. Patricia snapped. I'll change the locks. And don't try to contact Michael. I'll tell him who you really are. I glanced back at her, standing in my foyer with a victorious smile. But in the mirror behind her, I saw something important. The small USB drive I had left on the side table, labeled security footage. Goodbye, Patricia, I said softly. See you soon. As I drove away, I smiled. Patricia thought she had won. She had no idea I had been preparing for this moment for years. I pulled into the Golden Grove Hotel, where I had booked a room yesterday after catching Patricia snooping in Michael's office. She had been searching for something important, muttering about those damn papers. In my hotel room, I opened my laptop and accessed my cloud storage. Years of dealing with Patricia had taught me to be prepared. Every important document, every bank statement, every legal paper, safe and backed up. I watched the security footage. There she was, digging through Michael's office, frustration growing as she failed to find what she wanted. Of course, she didn't find it. The documents weren't in the office at all. I picked up my phone and called my lawyer. Hey, David, I said. Remember that plan we talked about? It's time. Patricia finally made her move, he asked. Yes, she kicked me out today, saying Michael wanted me gone. And the documents she was looking for. I smiled, thinking of the safe deposit box where I had hidden them. Still secure. She has no idea. Good, David said. Give me 24 hours. And Emma, get some rest. The next few weeks are going to be interesting. I lay back on the bed, staring at the ceiling. Patricia thought she had won, but she had just walked into my trap. Sometimes the best revenge is letting your enemy think they've won, until they realize they've lost everything. The next morning, I woke up to 17 missed calls from Patricia and a flood of frantic text messages. My favorite was the last one. The USB drive is missing. What did you do with it? I didn't reply. Instead, I drove to a local cafe to meet Sarah, Michael's sister. Unlike her mother, Sarah had never been fooled by Patricia's tricks. She did what? Sarah gasped when I told her about being kicked out. That's crazy, even for Mom. What was she looking for in Michael's office? I stirred my coffee. I think she finally realized the truth about the trust. Sarah's eyes widened. You mean? Yes. The one your grandmother left for Michael. The one Patricia has been trying to control for years. 5 years ago, at my wedding, Michael's grandmother had pulled me aside. She had told me about the trust, nearly $2 million, set aside for Michael. But she also warned me about Patricia. Patricia thinks I don't know, she had said, but she's been trying to get Michael to sign it over to her for years. Promise me you'll protect it. I had promised, And I had kept that promise even after Grandma Rose passed away. Mom's been obsessed with that trust since Grandma died, Sarah sighed. She keeps insisting there are papers that give her access. There aren't, I said. I was there when Grandma updated the trust before she passed. She made me co-trustee alongside Michael. Patricia can never touch it. Sarah smirked. No wonder Mom hates you. But why now? Because the trust becomes fully accessible next month on Michael's 35th birthday. She's running out of time. I pulled out my phone and showed Sarah the security footage of Patricia tearing through Michael's office. She's going to tell Michael you were spying on her, Sarah warned. I know. That's why I have emails from both Michael and our insurance company approving the security system. After that break-in last year, remember? Sarah laughed. You think of everything, don't you? I have to. Your mom's been trying to get rid of me since day one. Just then, another message from Patricia popped up. I've spoken to a lawyer. You have no right to those security cameras. Remove them immediately. I showed it to Sarah. She rolled her eyes. Classic Mom, always bluffing. So what's your next move? I smiled. Actually, I need your help. How's your acting? 2 hours later, Sarah rang Patricia's doorbell while I waited in the car. Her phone was connected to mine so I could hear everything. Sarah, Patricia sounded surprised. What are you doing here? Mom, what did you do? Sarah's voice was sharp, full of concern. Emma called me in tears. She said you threw her out. Oh, honey, I had to, Patricia said sweetly. She's been acting strange, installing cameras, going through Michael's things. I'm worried about her mental state. Really? Sarah said. Because I talked to Michael yesterday, his satellite phone is working again. He was confused about why Emma wasn't answering at home. Silence. Then Patricia said, That's impossible. The phone's been down. No, they fixed it 3 days ago. Mom, why were you in Michael's office? I wasn't. Emma's lying. She has video footage, Mom. What were you looking for? Another long pause. Then Patricia's voice turned cold. That little gold digger has no right to control your brother's trust. I'm his mother. I know what's best for him. The trust? Sarah asked, acting surprised. What trust? Don't play dumb. The one Grandma left for Michael. $2 million, and that art teacher gets to control half of it. Mom, Sarah said slowly, how do you know how much is in the trust? Those details are private. Patricia hesitated. I just assumed. Did you go through Grandma's papers before she died? Is that why you were searching Michael's office? Get out, Patricia snapped. You and Emma are always accusing me. Get out of my house. It's not your house, Mom, Sarah said, and I recorded this entire conversation. A door slammed. A minute later, Sarah got back in my car, grinning. Got it all, she said, holding up her phone. I saved the recording to my cloud storage, along with the security footage and the trust documents Patricia had been so desperate to find. What now? Sarah asked. Now we wait, I said. She's going to get desperate. She'll probably tell Michael I'm stealing from him or having an affair. She might even try to forge documents. And you're just going to let her? I thought about the years of evidence I had collected, every lie, every threat, every shady move Patricia had made. Sometimes, I said, you have to let people dig their own graves. The next 3 weeks went exactly as I expected. Patricia got more desperate, trying to ruin my reputation. She posted online about her troubled daughter-in-law, sent emails to Michael's coworkers claiming I was unstable, and even hired a private investigator to follow me. What she didn't know was that every move she made was just more proof against her. Then, 1 week before Michael was supposed to come home, she made her biggest mistake. Early in the morning, my phone rang. It was David. She did it, he said. Patricia just tried to submit fake documents to the trust administrator. I sat up in bed, instantly awake. Let me guess. She forged Grandma Rose's signature, making it look like she gave her control. Even better, David replied. She forged Michael's signature, claiming he signed everything over to her before leaving for Guatemala. But she didn't realize the trust requires in-person verification. I smiled. Perfect. Time to end this. 3 hours later, I walked into David's office. Patricia was already there with her lawyer. She looked smug until Sarah walked in behind me. What is this? Patricia snapped. I'm here to discuss the trust, not have a family meeting. Oh, this is definitely about family, I said, opening my laptop. Specifically, how you tried to steal from your own son. Patricia's lawyer frowned. Be careful with your accusations. They're not accusations, David said, handing out documents. It's all here, 5 years of evidence, starting with Patricia trying to access the trust without permission, leading up to the fake documents she submitted this morning. Patricia's face went pale as she flipped through the papers. These are lies. Really? I said. Then I clicked play on my laptop. Her own voice filled the room. That little gold digger has no right to control your brother's trust. I'm his mother. I looked at her. That's you, confessing to Sarah. Along with security footage of you searching Michael's office, your threatening emails to me, and of course, the fake documents you submitted. Patricia turned to her lawyer, looking panicked. They can't use these recordings. I didn't give permission. David spoke up. In this state, we only need one person's consent. And as you'll see on page 12, you signed an agreement allowing the security cameras 3 months ago. Patricia's hands shook. What do you want? She whispered. I met her eyes. 3 things. 1, you will remove your name from all of Michael's accounts. 2, you will sign a legal document saying you will never interfere with the trust again. And 3, I paused, letting the weight of my words sink in. You will tell Michael the truth when he gets back. All of it. And if I don't? She asked. Sarah finally spoke. Then we go to the police, Mom. The fraud, the forgery, everything. Patricia's eyes filled with tears, real ones this time. You'd send your own mother to jail. Sarah's voice was calm. You tried to steal $2 million from your own son. What did you think was going to happen? 2 days later, I moved back into my house. Patricia had left without a word, taking her things and her schemes with her. I spent the next few days undoing the damage she had done, putting back pictures she had taken down, and fixing up my art studio. When Michael finally came home, tanned and tired from his trip, Patricia was waiting at the airport with us. The moment he saw her face, he knew something was wrong. Mom, he asked, what's going on? Patricia looked at me, then at Sarah, before finally meeting her son's eyes. I need to tell you something, she said quietly, about what I did while you were gone. That night, after she had confessed and left in tears, Michael and I sat together in our living room. He shook his head in disbelief. I can't believe she tried to steal from us, he said. All these years, I thought you were just being paranoid about her. I knew you needed to see it for yourself, I said. That's why I documented everything. He pulled me close. Grandma was right about you, you know. The day before our wedding, she told me you were stronger than anyone realized, that you protect our family better than I ever could. I thought about Grandma Rose. Her final gift to us wasn't just the trust, but the warning about Patricia, the wisdom to be prepared. Michael continued. She told me something else too. She said sometimes the strongest people don't fight back right away. They wait, they watch, and they win. I smiled, remembering Patricia's face when she realized how badly she had lost. Your grandmother was a wise woman, I said. Michael kissed my forehead. And so is my wife. Looking around our peaceful home, I felt a deep sense of victory. Patricia had underestimated me, thinking I was just another person she could control. Instead, she learned a lesson she would never forget. Sometimes, the quietest person in the room is the one